So how do you feel about like the current political climate? I mean, this is like a massive topic of conversation right now. You know, I mean, Trump's in power now, and now, you know, he's brought about action saying that, you know, kids under the age of 18 cannot transition. I mean, there's a lot of conversation around this. There's a lot of change around this. Like, what are your thoughts around what's happening now?
Personally, I do believe that there are a small percentage of kids that are trans. I do think it's sad to say, but lately I've noticed a lot of detransitioners that are on the rise that are like, oh, like I thought I was this, but I, you know, jumped the gun and my parents got me on hormones right away. And now I have to have like surgeries to revert my body. And I think everyone forgets that like kids do go through phases.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it is just a phase.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it wasn't, but I don't think that is I don't think that's common for most trans people.
Mm-hmm.
Looking back at it, I obviously would have much rather transition as a kid, like
Mm-hmm.
as soon as possible. But I understand the pushback because it does change your body forever. Like being on hormones, it sterilizes you. So you're never able to have children. And, you know, I signed a paper saying like, okay, I'll never have children at 13 and okay, give me the meds. Not really understanding like the true impact of what that meant.
Mm-hmm.
So in a way, I am glad that there is a little bit of pushback, but I think it's being pushed too far back to now it's like, well, they can't even transition.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't necessarily agree with that. I think if anything, there should be just a certain set of standards of requirements and diagnosis and studies that need to be made to really qualify someone for having gender dysphoria. But it's unfortunate that the ball is swinging in this direction with the Trump new rules and everything. But I'm hoping that it does swing back to a middle ground where everyone can just like transition without having so much stigma around it, but also actually letting the trans people be trans.
Mm-hmm.
It's very complicated.
It is so complicated. And I think that it's new and it's scary to a lot of people. And I think also, unfortunately, it's being used as political fodder.
For sure.
To like incite fear and to incite political divide and to get people to fight each other and to distract them from other issues.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this is a very common political ploy, like get people like up in arms about other things so that like, you know, like
look
other
over here while we do
look
this.
over here while we like fuck around over
Yeah.
here. Like that's so common.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an easy thing to get people scared about. And yeah, I mean, you always see like the pendulum swings really far one way and then really far the other way.
Right.
And then there's more studies and, you know, more science and this pendulum kind of settles. And I think eventually it'll be more understood.
Right.
There'll be less stigma around it. And hopefully people will be able to make more educated decisions around it.
Mm-hmm.
But right now it's definitely like a really volatile situation and topic of conversation. And people will watch this episode and I will get comments of like from both sides.
Right. Yeah.
Being like, how could you say this? And then how could you say this? And it's just like the way it is, you know?
No, I understand it too. Cause even me just saying like, oh, I think trans teens need to go to therapy and jump through these hoops before they do that will like get me backlash, even though I did transition as a kid. But
yeah.
I don't know. I think there's definitely a solution out there somewhere that we need to find. But, you know, saying that kids and teenagers can't transition isn't the solution.
Right. I mean, I think there just has to be conversation around it.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing. We're having a conversation.
Absolutely.
And everybody should be able to say their piece and people should be able to think about it, right?
Mhm.
Like you can't be extreme one way or the other.
Right.
Like you need to be able to talk about it.
There's got to be middle ground.
Yeah, you can't be like screaming from both ends. Like that does not help anything,
No.
So I'm all about trying to like be rational and practical and talk about things. And also like me, I mean, obviously like I'm a straight cis woman, so I want to have conversations with people like you and who like you're a trans woman. Like I need to be educated from your point of view. Like what do I know? I don't know anything.
But you give me a platform where I can like speak my voice and also educate the masses, which is like a huge milestone.
Absolutely. And educate me, like I learn from people like you. But yeah, it's definitely a complicated issue. And I appreciate you coming on and speaking your mind.
Absolutely.
Because we need to hear from you.
As much as I am like an adult actress, I do feel like I'm kind of an advocate for the trans community.
Of course.
It's something I've done like since I was a teenager and I always believed in.